Pacheco, if you could call our last item, which is item number 9, please.
Calling item 9, appeal number 10-098, Diane Rosen versus Department of Building Inspection with Planning Department approval. Property is at 71 Granada Avenue. It's the protest of the issuance on August 25th, 2010 to Benjamin Pierce and Muriel Maffrey, permit to alter a building, remodel existing structure, second floor addition, two-story front addition, with new bath, one-story rear addition, new front office structure, remodel kitchen bath, upgrade electrical, plumbing facility hookups, new roofing, and other work. Application 2009-0225-2872S.
We need to wait until our Commissioner returns. Just one moment, please. Thank you.
Feeling bad? I have some belief. You should. I know, but anything distraction. I'm a child of the 60s. Yeah. She loses her sick privileges for at least 4 years.
Okay, you may begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, Board of Appeals members. My name is Steve Lightfoot. I represent the appellant, Diane Rosen, who is here with me, along with her spouse, Teresa Guillen. We're here tonight to discuss a discrete issue, and I realize that the hour is late, and I appreciate your time and consideration in this matter. The issue is that the residential design team found specifically that this project was inappropriate, out of scale, and out of touch with the neighborhood, recommended discretionary review be taken, and modifications to the project be made. The Commission ruled against that, and we find ourselves here today. The main issue on appeal, as outlined in the brief, is that this project provides a massive and bulky addition to the mid-block open space, and is, because of that reason, very out of touch and out of scale with the neighborhood. If we can look at the overhead, there are some submissions that are part of the respondent's brief where you can see that the impact is exactly as the residential design team found. A very bulky and massive structure being added to the mid-block open space. Now, the Commission found that there was no set pattern to the mid-block open space. And that seems to be the way that the Commission, or the point on which the Commission held its ruling. That's not the point, though. The point is not the fact that there's no pattern or no designated pattern. The fact of the matter is that this project is too bulky and too massive for that space, not the fact that there is no discrete pattern. And that was the considered position of the RDT in compliance with the design guidelines. And with the remainder of my time, I'd like to allow Ms. Rosen and Ms. Guillen to address the Board.
My primary reason for requesting this appeals hearing is to voice my objection to the result of the DR hearing held last December, principally the Commissioner's decision to disregard the findings of the residential design team. The RDT reached the decision independent of my request for DR and voiced concerns identical to mine surrounding the suitability of this project for our neighborhood. I naively felt that this would be enough to convince the Commissioners. My world revolves around my home, family, teaching full-time at the school that my young son attends, and caring for my elderly mother. My life is not glamorous, and my community of friends consists mainly of the families whose children I teach. I don't have fame or celebrity or influence, and I can't bring retired commissioners or prominent patrons of the arts to speak on my behalf. Ultimately, I never wanted another hearing. I never asked my neighbors not to build, just to modify their plans, and I kept hoping that we would be able to reach a compromise. To that end, I continued to offer possible solutions, each more modest than the last, only to have all of them met with rejection. In fact, the project sponsors have been unwilling to negotiate with me seriously on any level about concerns surrounding this project. When I expressed concerns about the demolition portion of this project and possible lead and asbestos exposure, my concerns were dismissed as unwarranted. I don't know retired commissioners, but I do know a number of licensed contractors, and I know that even the partial demolition of a house of over 100 years old requires the presence of a certified expert and, without a doubt, involves some exposure to lead and asbestos. My concerns about the absence of a licensed contractor were ignored. I understand that there is a member of the building department here, and I hope that this individual will hear my concerns. I have seen the results of do-it-yourself building projects in my neighborhood, and so has the building department. I especially recall the nearby case on Congo Street. My inexperienced neighbor intends to act as his own contractor, and I fear that might lead to an unsightly and hazardous situation. I would like to leave you with the image of a fence that was built in front of 71 Granada. This fence replaces a perfectly adequate, sturdy fence that stood in front of the house for years. The new fence was installed to obtain greater privacy, but from the day it was erected, it started to fall down one plank at a time. No effort on the part of my neighbor could repair this broken, unsightly fence, which still stands today as an example of what is to come. I am hoping that extra scrutiny will be given to this project by the building department, and I thank you for hearing my concerns. I urge you to grant my appeal in this matter.
Good evening. I have been a San Francisco civil servant and a licensed professional for over 30 years, and I respect and adhere to my chosen profession's code of ethics. I feel compelled to make a comment about a Planning Commission's evaluation and subsequent decision on December 11th regarding the project. While I don't fault the project designer's strategy in presenting public support for their plan, I take serious issue with the use of testimony of an active, although out-of-county, planning commissioner taking a public stance in favor of the project. But the next person to testify on behalf of the project was even more objectionable. That would be the retired president of the San Francisco Planning Commission. I feel that human nature, at the very least, and the good old buddy system may have swayed support for this project. The Planning Department's approval of this project was an inappropriate decision out of line of their own residential design team's findings of the incompatibility of the project with the surrounding homes and neighborhood. The project designers argue that there are other similar structures in the neighborhood, but what they fail to understand is that there are non-conforming, already existing structures that may have been grandfathered in, unlike their own demolition and construction of new structures. This kind of conflicting interpretation of code is bound to affect the public's faith in the system. The last thing that I want to mention is the elephant in the room. At the hearing, there was public testimony by a planning commissioner that was personally offensive to me. This person stated that it was important to keep young artists in San Francisco and allow them to build. Let's not forget that retired, mature, former principal ballet dancers have several options available to them for securing suitable housing in the city. Public school teachers do not. It was offensive to me to hear the implied disrespect for the teaching profession, and in particular, the public schools inferred by the Commissioner's comments on the entitlement of young artists. In closing, it is my honest opinion that the celebrity status of the project designers and the testimony of the former and active Commissioner's support of the project sealed the deal and drowned out the RDTs and the appellant's humble proposal of scaling down the project back to a more modest degree. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. So we can hear from the permit holders now.